Bathurst, 207 kilometres west of Sydney and Australia's oldest inland settlement. Boomtown Bathurst was the centre of the New South Wales gold rush back in the 1850s, and there are still many reminders of that era to be found there today. The grab for gold continues in another vein at Bathurst today. Men have been bringing their machines to nearby Mount Panorama for over half a century. The mountain is a unique public road course measuring 6.172 kilometres. The peak of Panorama is 830 metres above sea level, and there's a rise of 200 metres between the starting line and Castrol Tower. The fastest part of the course is Conrod Straight, 1.86 kilometres, where the tourists top 280 k's. 10 seconds away from the start of the 1986 James Hardy 1000 at Bathurst. Racing, and Grice just spread eagles the field. He's gone. And all the cars seem to get away nicely as they head down the front straightaway towards the left-hander. There's Gricey chopping straight into the left-hander. And so beautifully he takes it through there as they head up Mountain Straight for the first time. The field goes through without an incident in the first corner. We've got a safe start to the 1986 James Hardy Classic as they head up Mountain Straight towards Bridgestone Corner. Just look at the field sweeping. Gricey all the way to the floor, leads the Turbo Nissan of Gary Scott. Larry Perkins running in third place. George Fury is fourth. And you can wait as they go through Bridgestone Corner and work their way up to the BP cutting for the reaction as Australia's Commodore leads the Turbo Challenge across the mountain for the first time. Grice, Scott, Perkins, then George Fury in fourth place. Up down to BP cutting and the climb to the top of the mountain.
Look up behind Pete Brock in 05, who had to come from 11th position, an unaccustomed position for him on the grid, and he's already making up ground into about 6th position on the racetrack. Through they go, Grice, Scott, Larry Perkins, Fury, up to the top of the mountain. Fans on their toes as they go over for the first time under real race conditions for 86. My gee, look at the lead that Grice has opened up.
Grice absolutely flying. He's using his 17-inch Yokohama tyres. And the tail end of the skyline really starting to float around. Behind Brock, we had John Harvey in the number 3 Mobile Commodore, then Dick Johnson. Behind him, John Bowe and Graham Crosby. This is second place. Perkins is third. And there's the leader, Alan Grice, with around about a 2.5 second gap as he leads on to Conrod Straight. It's the shot from race cam. Midway down Nissan Conrod Straight, coming around to end lap number 1 of 163. And it's Alan Grice in the lead in car number 2, the Chickadee Commodore. Behind him in car number 15 will be it should be Gary Scott in the Nissan, that's correct. Then we've got Larry Perkins in 11. A gap then back to John Harvey and Peter Brock. One of the Benzes in trouble. Car number 14, Franz Klammer and Denny Holm.
He's glanced the safety wall. There's 29, even with bigger problems backing down the road.
Now that's the Van Ommen and Madiki car. So Jorg Van Ommen getting out. Peter Brock very close to the back of the 15 car. And there's the shot from race cam. So Peter Brock goes from a position 11 up to second place in the race after only 2 laps. What a performance from him. Oh, Roberto Ravaglia, Dieter Questa BMW into the fence. That's Roberto stepping over the concrete wall, and the front of the BMW looking very second-hand. What a tragedy. And after 2.5 laps of the James Hardy, the International Challenge fizzing. Oh, Mike Bergman, car number 33, has had a big one down Conrod Straight underneath the JPS bridge. The car has rolled. Bergman started in the car. Mel Rose was the rookie driver to have co-driven with him.
Ambulance officers on the scene of the accident, and it's been a bad one, with Mike Bergman, the driver of the number 33 V8 Holden.
And there's His Royal Highness, the Duke of Edinburgh, speaking with Alan Moffat in the pit area. Because Alan will be able to tell him about the finer points of racing around this Mount Panorama circuit. George Fury, a man with an awful lot of work to do, as we said, in and out of the pits for one quick stop already.
Sensational pictures from Sevens race cam, a new position for 1986.
Here is an interesting little confrontation in the sand trap at the bottom of Conrod Straight. We've got the Mitsubishi Starion of Brad Jones and the Commodore of Warren Cullen.
Brock using 17-inch Bridgestone tyres. 26 seconds gone in this stop. Car's now been dropped. Moffat grabbing first gear. Moves away 33.04 seconds. The stop for Peter Brock and Alan Moffat, but the car very reluctant to get mobile once more. Now it's away. Oh, not a bad stop either. 22 seconds. Car number 30.
And here's one of the Merc 190s. The only one left in the race, of course. And Richard, it's the first time we've had the opportunity to see these cars race in Australia.
Yeah, Denny Holm at the wheel at the moment. In Europe, they tend to run a slightly different class structure. Here you have a 2 to 3 litre class. In Europe, it's 1600 to 2.5 litre, and they compete against the 325i BMWs. It's been a very interesting race all year long between the Mercedes and the BMW, and at the moment, it looks to be a man called Winnie Voigt, one of the Works 325i's, that's got the better of the Mercedes and is in fact leading the European Touring Car Championship at the moment.
Oh, and Peter McLeod in trouble in car number 4. This is McPhillamy at the end of the Castrol sand trap, and the front right-hand side of his car demolished. He's gone into... Well, I have a feeling I might be doing a disservice to Peter because I think he came in and handed over to Glenn Clark. I'm not 100% sure of that, but I know the car made a stop.
Your thoughts about picking up cars around the circuit and taking them back into the pits?
Yeah, this is one of the areas, of course, which is totally different here to what you have in Europe. If you go off the road in Europe, then that's where you stay unless you're in a dangerous position. You might get pushed out of the way, but there's no way you get it back and get back in the race. And look at the Japanese driver there, really all but losing the lot there in number 53, the Staran, which so much was expected.
Jaguar won at Mount Panorama last year, but I don't think Jag is going to win this year. Muir in the Goss number 10 car with the trunk up, door open, looking for help. The car is stationary on its way up the mountain straight. Coming up behind the Mercedes, blacks out little to the V8 Commodore in sheer power down Conrod Straight. Moffat coming up behind George Fury. Nissan still looks very, very steady indeed under brakes. There's Bailey going through in number 2.
Peter Brock standing by with the crew. We'll get the stopwatches ready for this and see what sort of a stop they can do. So far, they've been very efficient. Moffat out, Brock in. With a shot from our second race cam in the side of the car.
Down.
Peter Brock out of the pits 6 minutes and 10 seconds stationary while they removed and bypassed the oil cooler.
This race is like the Irishman that won the Tour de France. I tell you, he had to go on a lap of honour.
Now, what's the shape of the car like after you've got back in? Has Greg look after it for you?
Oh, you better believe it, mate. She's brand new.
He's a good operator.
Yeah, he's a good operator. The water temperature's no different. The oil temperature's still the same.
We didn't get a chance to do any split times on him, but how competitive was he with your times?
Yeah, he was doing 23s and 24s. And boy, is there some oil here.
Yeah, what's the state of the circuit like?
Well, it was all right.
Well, one of your mates in a Ford Mustang, the Anderson brothers, have just spun off into the entrance to the pits.
Well,
and you'll be pleased to know that the Wilmington Janssen Jaguar XJS was also in a bit of strife down there. No, Bailey's off in car number 2. Unbelievable bad luck for Graham Bailey. Now, what exactly does that do to the race order? They had a fair buffer up their sleeve. Alan Grice, meanwhile, has pulled his helmet on and he's standing by to get in the car. Okay, we'll set the stopwatches here and see what sort of a stop Les Small's Roadways team can do. Alan Grice standing by.
It would seem likely to me that what was happening was that the oil is coming out and got on the tyres, which is why he spun.
What is going to be interesting, Harvey is now at the top of Conrod Straight.
Yep.
That big gap, that big buffer of the lap, and then a bit.
Been in the pits now for exactly 1 minute and 50 seconds. They've fired the engine, out with all of the standby tripods. The jacks are up.
Here comes Harvey along pit straight. Mobile dealer team flags up in the air. Grice heads out the pit lane.
Oh, well, this will be really interesting.
This will put them on the same lap.
And remember that Harvey is at race speed. Grice is going to have to reach it. He spent 2 minutes and 6 seconds in the pits.
There he goes. That's Grice pulling out in front of Harvey. Harvey has spotted the back of the Chickadee Commodore, and Cross in for the ride too as they head up Mountain Straight. Here they come. Out of BP, heading up to the top of the hill. Harvey down the inside of the BMW. Grice just backs out of there for a moment. Richards gives racing room on the inside. And what a race we've got going after 105 laps with all the dramas of today. And this is the gap between first and second in the 86 James Hardie Classic. And Grice on the outside, what a move! Takes him coming across the top of the mountain. So Alan Grice takes back the lead in the James Hardie 1000. Harvey still in second, and third is Gary Scott in the Nissan.
And in the pits, that's the Lusty brothers, Commodore, Graham and John Lusty. Something wrong with the gear shift, the gear lever. I think they've changed it during that changeover. Driver change as well. That's car 23.
Graham, what happened? The gear lever broke.
The gear lever off, and I was supposed to change over to John last time, and we had to grab a set of multi-grips, and I've been changing gears with multi-grips for the last 20-odd laps. But anyway, we're still out there and going. We've got a gear stick back in it now.
They might be dusty, but they're certainly not rusty. Car number 3 in the pits, the second of the Noble dealer team cars. John Harvey and Neil Lowe. Neil stepping out. Looks like Harvey going out now to do the final stint behind the wheel.
Correct.
They're still running third on the racetrack. And John Harvey takes over the car for the sprint to the checkered flag.
Times are tough. The turbos. 44, John Bauer.
And of course, John Bauer and Alfredo Costanzo sharing this car. Their second car, of course, driven by the New Zealanders, Graham McRae and Neville Crichton. We've got some pictures of Dr. Eric and Bev and everyone in the pits following you going around the circuit. You want to send them a wave?
Yeah, oh, down here?
Yeah.
How are you?
Super. Oh, we've had one upside down in the bottom turn. Car number 87. Goodness gracious.
Yes, it's the Brian Bolwell, Tony Farrell BMW 323. And it looks as though he's just lost it under brakes coming into the bottom at Conrod, and the front wheel has caught the inside ripple strip and the car has rolled over.
He's okay though. Steps out of the car. Crowd give him a huge hand. Grice comes out of the corner, acknowledging the flag with 1 lap to go. Heading up mountain straight. There he goes. He's going to get a wave off to everyone before this is over. He's watched so many drivers do this for so many years. Hands already at the top of the mountain as Grice heads up to Bridgestone Corner for the final time. And of course, after the race is over, the cars are pulled straight in at the back of the pits, so you don't really get a chance on a cool-down lap to acknowledge the waves of the crowd. Here he comes. Alan Grice, a man who went to Europe this year to try and prove something. He certainly has done that, and he's proved an awful lot more here today. As the fans acknowledge, Gricey coming across the top, out of Castrol Curve, down to the S's. Through Bridgestone Corner. To the dipper for the final time. Now on his way down to the left-hander. And here he comes. Through Valvoline Corner. Nissan Conrod straight for the final time. You can almost coast home to victory from there. Last corner comes up as Grice and the Chickadee Roadways Commodore V8 hits the last turn, straightens it out. Checkered flag at the ready, and the Aussie privateer, the battler, cracks it for the Hardie 1000 at Mount Panorama, and the crowd has erupted. He's done it. Alan Grice of Sydney takes the 1986 James Hardie 1000 Classic. Second place will go to John Harvey and Neil Lowe in the Mobile Holden dealer team Commodore number 3. Third place will go to Gary Scott and Terry Shield in the Nissan Skyline Turbo number 15. Fourth to Dick Johnson, car number 17. Fifth place to Peter Brock and sixth place to Jimmy Richards. 10 seconds away from the start of the James Hardy 1087 World Touring Car Championship. Racing in the 87 Classic and getting away smartly. On the inside was Andy Rouse. Here's Grice making a run. And Perkins down the inside and Grice looking for it into the first corner.
Ludwig has missed the jump. Needwitz, rather.
Terrible start from him in car 7. There he is behind Peter McLeod in the mobile car number 10 as the field streaks up Mountain Straight. A dreadful start from Needswitz.
Beautiful shots as they head up Mountain Straight, bound for the right-hander at Bridgestone Corner.
Andy Rouse, the leader, as they press at the top and head towards Bridgestone, the right-hander. Very quick, fast, sweeping right-hander. Badiki to second. There's Perkins and Brock. Johnny Chicotto, car number 42, the BMW M3.
Steve Sober got off to a much better start than his Eggenberger teammate Needswitz. Sober in third place. So one of the Texaco cars up there with the front runners, but he's got Alan Grice right on his hammer, followed by Larry Perkins, Peter Brock, and then Neville Crichton.
Commodores on the pace as they head to the top of Mount Panorama. Problems there for one of the Shell Sierras, had to back off, would have been Neville Crichton. They head down now towards the Castrol Sand Trap. Here's our track cam, 7 Sport exclusive as the cars go over the top of our camera. And they come down for the completion of the first lap. Here's Soper making a move. Going to put a number on Madecki. That moves him up to second. Rice sits back in fourth, and the Bob Jane T-Mart's Commodore as they complete the first lap of the 87 Classic.
There is Dick Johnson in trouble in car number 17.
Doesn't appear to be any damage. It looks like he's just rolled off the circuit with some mechanical problem.
They sweep through down beneath the Bridgestone Bridge again to the left-hander coming up. And here comes the move from Steve Soper as he puts one on Andy Rouse and will take the lead. Rouse tucks in behind him. So with 3 completed, Steve Soper of Great Britain in the Texaco Ford Sierra takes over the lead in the James Hardy 1000. Rouse in second and third place held by Andrew Madecki. Let's have a look on our Toyota replay of an incident that occurred up here. Larry Perkins.
Pop! And I think that's the number 18 Ford Sierra, which was driven by Neville Crichton off the start.
He's made up that gap he lost over the top of the mountain and now sits on the bumper of the Texaco Ford Sierra. And here's the Grouse. Rouse making his move down the outside. Can he do it? There's Colin Bond's stranded Caltex Alpha 75 on the way up the straight. Steve Soper takes back the lead in the James Hardy 1000, but not for long because Andy Rouse comes up to run side by side with him. Madecki sits just back behind them. They're having a swapsy game at the front. 10 laps now completed in the great race for 87. Over the crest there. Here he comes, down the inside. Moment of truth for Jimmy Richards. Look at Fury. Fury going to try and see if he can sneak down there as well. Here comes the farmer. They work their way up Motorcraft Hill. Jimmy Richards will have the line for the next turn, but George takes it in deep. Will Richards give way? George is very wide as they come out of the turn. Power on, turbo boost, door handle to door handle. And the Nissans get through on the inside of the JPS BMW. Sensational stuff. And the Aussie from Port Macquarie is now in front. One guy who we caught early on our Toyota replay. This is the lusty Commodore getting out of shape, and her runch. Up she goes. Down it comes.
Hello.
Looks like one of the Commodores smoking profusely. Must be Peter Brock.
Yep, it's the Parsons car. Peter Brock, Parsons car. Parsons at the wheel, of course, only having just got in the vehicle. The man who set the fastest time in qualifying for this year's race. Klaus Ludwig, as we see another incident here at the Hill corner. Round and round goes car 32. The Warren Cullen, Gary Sprague entry.
Klaus Ludwig with that brilliant pit stop, according to our charts now, has gone through to take over the lead. Andrew Madecki in second spot. Steve Soper in third. So Sierra's still 1, 2, 3. On our Toyota replay for you. This incident at the top of the hill with one of the BMWs,
That's
number
Cicotto.
42. Johnny Cicotto having an anxious moment as he tapped a slower car. And only seconds ago, Lucio Cesario in the number 57 Caltex Alpha has gone off in the S's. The car was running 38th in the field. Let's have a look at the replay, courtesy of Toyota, and you can see exactly what happened.
Oh, launched it.
Straight through the curb, missed it completely, creases it twice against the concrete wall, and the car is now out. And for the first time in the James Hardy Classic, a pace car comes onto the circuit. A fierce storm moving in over Mount Panorama. Spots of rain already appearing on the screen of Glenn Seaton's Peter Jackson Nissan Skyline.
And along the pit lane, Mark, the team managers frantic, the crews getting out the wet weather tyres in preparation for a swarm of pit stops as the showers sweep in, driven by a very strong west to southwest wind. Persistent rain, although that one big...
Whoa, he's got it sideways. Had to fight for that to get it back on the road. Very dramatic pictures coming to you out of England.
Dangerous moments here.
Now, if he's having problem with the turbo Nissan, you can imagine the strife that Steve Soper is having with wheel spin in the Sierra.
Every time they change gear. Oh, goodness. Oh.
I used to drive a go-kart. He's as safe as the Bank of England.
Well, I hope you're right.
He's one of the good old boys from karting, Glenn.
Hope you're right for Phil Gibson's sake.
Oh, don't prove me wrong, Glenn. Oh, Glenn. Now, you can see the dilemma. Does he go into the pits and he'll have to put wets on? He's going to wind up with a bigger problem. He's going to be out of tyres, then given another 10 laps because the track will be dry. They're doing a
Pad change.
Yep. If you think it's warm at home and nice and comfortable and sunny where you are, take a look at this. This is Mount Panorama, Bathurst. We started the day under threatening skies, and this is really going to be a test here for the final hour of the World Touring Car Championship round.
12 seconds gone, and it is torrential down here at the moment. The rain's driving sideways, freezing cold. Steve Soper still in the car, Pierre Dieudonné standing by, and the track is now very, very wet, and it's gale force. Just on 30 seconds was the stop then for Soper, and as you can see, they've gone for a full grooved wet tyre. There's pandemonium down here.
I'm not saying it's blowing a gale, ladies and gentlemen, but it almost blew our 3 lap scorers off the balcony roof here in front of us. And there they are, assisting our race score people.
They've forgotten lunch.
Yes. And if there was any refuse on the ground down below, they'll find it at Orange sometime tomorrow.
The flagpoles along the main straight bending almost double at some points with the strength of this wind. It is just phenomenal. There's one of the Oxo cars. It's had it. Which one is it? It's 34.
34, yeah.
That's the Giddings car.
Yeah, he's clobbered the side there fairly hard.
And also the pace car is out on the track. Let's go to Neil Crompton.
The yellow flags are out at the moment. I think I just saw the pace car going out. It's actually hailing here at present. It's freezing cold, and we're standing by for the other Texaco Sierra. And if you've ever seen some sensational pit activity, you've never seen anything until what you're going to see in the next few minutes.
Cicotto's car has got some very heavy damage to the front. And here's the reason why the pace car's out.
This is the reason up on the top part of the mountain.
Yes, one of the Toyotas, car number 91. That's the Faulkner entry.
I think it's both of the Toyotas,
Is it?
actually, Wilcap.
Yeah, he's got one wheel that's virtually right off.
That's the 24 car, the Bajan Bauquet car in the background, the 91 Toyota, and there's another car here about to get collected. Oh,
That's the Brabham Fangio car.
Yep.
That's going to stop it completely. Even the pace car won't. Oh, yes, it will.
There's room for it to get through. So long as there's room, the pace car will stay out. That's why the pace car's here, so a race can still continue, albeit under controlled conditions.
Still can't identify the car on the right-hand side of the circuit, the third of the cars involved in the major part of this incident. The Fangio car you saw also was involved there on the way through, but it's still moving, pushing the Bauquet car off the infield now. Chicotto wending his way slowly. Look at the front left wheel. The flags are out, the pace car is out.
And not only that, Klaus Ludwig, who's just leaving the pits now, is going to be held at the pit exit, and he's going to lose a lap on the lead car.
Now we've got some replays coming up for you that will help to explain the sequence of events here. Let's have a look.
Oh, what a feeling. Toyota replay. That's the first of the Toyotas.
Looks like
Look at it.
91.
Bang, there's the next one, straight at it.
Car
Torn
90.
the wheel off. Next one,
Bauquet.
Bauquet, maybe oil on the road up there. He's trying to steer the thing. The wheel has run off the other Toyota, and Bauquet at this stage gets the shimmies on and props at the top of the hill. Another Toyota replay for you as they come up over the top of West End Bend. Boom! Whoop.
That was the Chicotto car.
That was Johnny Chicotto.
And the race will be underway once more. Second time we've had the pace car out here.
Well, there we go. Now that, I believe, was just incredible. I thought they were supposed to spend a lap behind the pace car. At the moment, the pace car's placed 15th in the race.
Wasn't Chicotto penalised 3 minutes for doing this the last time out?
I'd say so.
Yep. What they are supposed to do is to follow the pace car around, because his lights being out are a signal to the marshals to withdraw their yellow flags.
There's no way, though, that the Sierra or the BMW, they're both very experienced. There's no way they'd have passed him, I would think, anyway, unless he'd waved them past.
The yellow flags are still out.
Yeah.
Well, Soper has a lap plus on his nearest competitors at the moment, and his nearest competitor is teammate Klaus Ludwig in the number 7 Texaco car. Then Johnny Chicotto, Peter Brock, and all the dramas aren't on the track, Neil Crompton.
Certainly not, Gary. In fact, there's going to be one very big drama at the end of this race. I just chanced on a story a moment ago about possible illegal fuel in both the Texaco Sierras. Now, I've spoken with a Confederation of Australian Motorsport official, who has taken a sample of the fuel from the vent bottle and also a sample of fuel from their overhead 120-litre refill compartment. The fuel that came out of the vent bottle blew the hydrometer off the clock. I'll let you read your own rules into that. And the fuel that was taken out of the overhead refill container, he said, quote, was almost right. So, work it out yourself. At the moment, the lap board says 139 laps. Cars 6 and 7 lead the race. And Peter Brock is in 3rd position in car number 10. But at the end of this racing afternoon, there's going to be a lot of discussion about those 2 lead cars.
Let's go to Neil Crompton.
Well, Brock's just given me the thumbs up. It's the usual confident, happy and positive Peter Brock who's in the car at the moment. He's gone out to time of about 25 seconds and he is gassing in the Commodore. He's put slick tyres on. He's in 3rd position. The drama continues with the Texaco Ford Sierras. Victory number 9 could be on the way.
Thank you, Neil Crompton. We've got the little BMW trying to give him a terrible time. Down through the S's now to the dipper. That's all fine. Brock just trying very, very carefully to stay on the only dry line. Look how narrow it is.
Young Gary Brabham behind him.
And Brock will float it through here, see if he gets it a bit of opposite lock as he comes out. The dry line's out there, fortunately. Now, he should be able to run away from Brabham down the straight beneath the GIO bridge. Okay, this great scrap continues. Here's the BMW, the Fangio, Brabham. And here's Brocky.
Yeah, that was quite funny because the BMW got past him and Brocky immediately decided he got the power and moved out right in front of the Sierra.
And the BMW is going to nip and tuck here on the inside, but he has to give way to that. Let's see what happens going up the hill. Brocky sideways comes out of Motorcraft.
Don't think Steve Soper was too impressed by all that.
Coming up on the Oxo Supercube Sierra. Brock floats it down beneath the Nissan bridge. drop over the top, coming down to Forest Elbow. And Brock has been able to hold the bimmer there. It's some real horsepower, unleashes itself now. Conrod straight once again. Here's the last lap board now for young Britain Steve Soper as he takes out on the last lap around Mount Panorama for the James Hardie 1000, 1987. Still a 2-lap advantage over teammate Klaus Ludwig. There has been some controversy regarding the cars, as reported by Neil Crompton from the pits today. One of the BMWs coming up, taking advantage as Soper will not make a mistake. And looming in the different background, of course, is Peter Brock. To the top of Mount Panorama, heading up to West End Bend for the final time. Brocky pulls one lap back as he gets out of the way. Coming up to the fans on top of Mount Panorama. He sweeps through, coming down to the Castrol Sand Trap. There are the fans giving him a tremendous cheer as Soper sweeps across, heads down to the right-hander, down to the S's.
Young Steve Soper's he's had 2 seconds and 2/3 in World Touring Car this year, but this will be his first win in World Touring Car Championship.
Soper swings it back as a look over the shoulder. Heads down to Bridgestone Bridge for the final time. And the World Touring Car Championship for 1987 has arrived at Bathurst this weekend. The 1987 James Hardie 1000 will go to Steve Soper of Great Britain in the Texaco Ford Sierra, and he takes the checkered flag. Second place will officially go to his teammate Klaus Ludwig, who will be 2 laps down in the number 7 Eggenberger Ford Texaco Sierra. And third place will go to Australia's Peter Brock in the Mobile Commodore. And all the Brock fans waiting for Peter Perfect to come across the line. And he does just that. What a reception. The Australian Television Network welcomes viewers around the world to the 1988 Tooheys 1000 from Mount Panorama at Bathurst. The pace car pulls into the pits, and for the first time in history, we're about to have a rolling start to Australia's great race. Dick Johnson, John Bauer. Almost a perfect formation. Klaus Niedzwitz will go with them. Longhurst is lagging back. Let's wait for the start, and here they come. The great race is underway. The first Tooheys 1000, and it's Johnson away quickly. But look at Klaus Niedzwitz up here on the inside, and he will take John Bauer. Very quickly up into 4th place was Tony Longhurst, and they are really sprinting at the front.
Glenn Seaton with a big problem in pit straight. The car seems to be jammed in gear by the look of it, and Seaton's right at the back of the pack. A bad start for the Peter Jackson Nissan team.
A great aerial view of Mountain Straight. Here comes Dick Johnson. Klaus Niedzwitz into 2nd place. Tony Longhurst has also shuffled John Bauer back 1 spot in the pack. Bauer runs 4th in the Shell Sierras. They head up Motorcraft Hill towards the BP cutting for the first time.
Andrew Madecki just in behind the leading pack, a whole swag of Sierras. He's followed by Colin Bond. There's a car in the pits, the Yellow Pages entry, car number 3 of Peter McLeod and Jim Keogh. So they didn't get off the starting line.
Niedzwitz in car number 9. Then Longhurst, John Bauer. They're looking for Andrew Madecki, Colin Bond. As we go through the dipper.
I'm looking for anything but a Sierra at the moment.
You'll find probably 7 or 8 of them at the head of the field.
Beautiful shot there, showing just that roller coaster effect to Conrod. There goes Niedzwitz, Longhurst the next one.
George Fury placed in behind the Holden, is he? Looks like Larry Perkins in front of him, so they've maintained their grid order at the moment.
Yep, 8th and 9th on the track, exactly.
There's the run coming down to Caltex Chase. George Fury
having a go at the Holden.
But for just about the completion of the first lap. And Dick Johnson will get a huge cheer as he comes across the line. He leads lap 1 of the Tooheys 1000 of Mount Panorama. Tricky Dicky in front, clear of Klaus Niedzwitz and Tony Longhurst. It's a Sierra benefit at the moment. We expected that.
Well,
a disaster in the pits. It's a turbocharger problem by the looks of things, and this is one of the teams that I certainly thought would be right up there all race long. Soper and Medecky, both very evenly matched drivers, both very quick, and as you can see, disaster. There's hands all over the place, and there's no boost with the car. That's the problem.
Klaus Niedzwitz at McPhillamy Park. And just watching Klaus, he all looks fairly gentle at the moment. He's back to second gear through the S's. He's not working the tyres too hard. He's probably tending to just load the car up a bit under brakes and not stamp on the gas pedal.
If you've got enough eyes, just watch the road, the hands, the feet and the wheel all at the one time and just see the action.
A little bit of heel and toe back to first gear through the cutting. He's very good through these bends, but I don't think he's revving his car. No, listen to it. Let's listen. No, he's not revving the thing's head off. So that's where Dick's making the ground down the straight. Klaus is making up a bit of ground under brakes and through the turns.
We have Tom Walkinshaw coming into the pits at this very moment in car number 20. So he has problems.
I think he's got a tyre scraping on the body. They're working on the right rear of the car. The man that successfully engineered a Jaguar win at Le Mans this year, a former European touring car champion, winner at Spa. So it is in fact a tyre that's fouling on the body that's caused all the drama. It's the left side, I believe. It's where they're doing the work at the moment. This is the car, this is a brand new car. Oh, they've dropped the car, the nut's not on. Goodness me. This is the car they air freighted from the UK.
Some frantic work there.
One thing Tom Walkinshaw hates, it's sloppy pit work. He's gone out in 43.3 seconds.
Oh.
And a crook start to the race for Tom. Oh, the right-hand rear is still fouling.
Well, that's happened when they've dropped the car. Oh, shredding.
He's going to be lucky to make it around the track.
He won't. The tyre's shredding. Look at it.
Oh, goodness me. Something's collapsed at the rear of this car.
This has happened when they've dropped it off the jack.
There'll be some soul searching in that pit area, Bay, when Tom returns to the pits, if he makes it.
Oh,
it's gone.
Goodness
There's one
me.
tyre. He's popped one, and Tom says that's enough.
He's out of business. Well, this is an absolute tragedy for Walkinshaw, one of the absolute thorough professionals. Oh, goodness me, out Ulf Granberg. Inky Tulloch cross-ended in that car from New Zealand. So, problems with the Swedish Sierra. He was laying in 8th position. Here's the scrap for second as Tony Longhurst makes a dive on the inside to the hump in Mountain Straight. Niedzwitz under pressure, and the B&H car has gone through to second.
Good move from Tony Longhurst. So Gricey continues running 8th. Oh, well, sorry about that cross.
I hope we weren't the cause of that. You got a problem for sure. Coming much earlier than expected. Pouring plenty of cold water on the radiator at the moment. Gee, that's bad luck, Gary.
Sure is. 15 laps in the race gone, and they weren't scheduled to be in for their first stop for at least another 15 to 20 laps.
Meanwhile, let's go to our Caltech CXT replay as we see Peter Brock coming up here on the inside.
Oh,
hearing me, that
he said, I want you to follow me across McPhillamy Crompton. I'll show you how to do it. I think I might throw that out the window. He was lucky to get through the sand trap there and not get bogged. Oh! How can you have a lose halfway down Conrod? It's the number 17 car. It's Johnson at the wheel. He's tapped the fence. And John Bow goes through, looks over his shoulder, can't imagine what's happened. There must be a huge problem with the rear end of the car. He's had a lose at 260 kilometres an hour. His pit was ready for him.
And he's been able to get it underway again.
He's had a puncture.
Before he went off the racetrack, he was 7.8, almost 8 seconds clear of Tony Longhurst. All of that has now evaporated.
That's the second Sierra in a couple of days to explode tyres at high speed.
Here's another fellow who's trying to dig it out. That looks like Phil
Ward. Yeah.
There must be gold in them there hills because everyone's been putting them into the bunkers.
It's going to take him a long time to dig it out by hand.
It's going to take an awful long time.
I guess we better reaffirm that Tony Longhurst is now the race leader. Klaus Niedzwitz is in second place, and John Bow holding down third in the second of the Shell cars.
And I think it's time for another Caltex replay. How did the Merc get in the sand? Whoops, he's got it loose.
Oh, Wardy's really out of shape here.
Oops, almost, yes.
Almost, he went right over Phil Ward. So Johnson now just coming through the entrance to the pit lane. The Motorcraft pit report, he's arrived. They'll crawl all over the car, but they'll be starting to look pretty favourably at the 28 car, I reckon.
Starting to look good now. John Brady, take it away.
The motor's off. It's a serious problem, obviously, because they've got it jacked up. It could be those CV joints. They've got them standing by. Neil Lowe talking to Johnson, and really quite a worrying time here for the man who was leading the race not very long ago. Johnson getting out of the car.
This is for the lead in the Tooheys 1000. Tony Longhurst of Queensland and the Benson and Hedges Sierra being tailed by Klaus Needsvets in the number 9 ANZ Sierra.
Alan Grice, incidentally, Mike, had some sort of an exhaust problem, and the John Harvey Kevin Bartlett car has been to the pits and gone back out and rejoined. This is BP Race Cam with Klaus Needsvets, and he's in hot pursuit of Tony Longhurst at the moment. The battle for first and second.
But Klaus Needsvets has stalked him since Longhurst took over the lead. The gap is only minimal, less than half a second.
They've got a 24-second break on the third car in the race, which is the 28 shell car driven by John Bower. So they've opened up a very appreciable break at this stage of the race, but the lead could change here at any moment.
So after a great swag of racing, these guys still locked in battle.
Coming into BP cutting. Now Brock can get close to these two cars at the top of the hill. The picture should be fantastic as they come down to the dipper.
Get close to him, he's going to eat him up, Mike.
Coming up on the BMW. Retaking the Commodore.
This is the
Murray Carter's Netcom Nissan, Sierra, I should say. Anxious moment here. See the Sierra picking up the back wheel. Now Murray waves him by. Listen to the gears.
He elected not to go through the sandpit that time.
That would be a terrifying ride from this angle, wouldn't it?
Now 56 Peter Brock is in 6th place in the race, and the team car that Neil Crompton will be taking over from David Parsons, that's number 57, is 11th on the road. So they're still in this race with a big chance.
Yes, Top of the Mountains provided plenty of action. Here's some more of it, captured by the Caltex replay.
A little Suzuki.
Well, even a Toyota, it's close.
Toyota, is it?
Oh, what a feeling.
He repeats the performance here. Look at this.
Mike Oliver and Mike Freeman.
Go back, you are going the wrong way.
They should have a big sign there, shouldn't they?
Well, he'd be better off keep reversing. I wouldn't go back and try and turn it.
Bad trouble for Peter Brock. He's in the pits in the number 56 Mobile BMW on lap 37. Coming into the entry to Caltex Chase, it appears he might have got a wheel off the circuit, has hit the ripple strip and probably ruptured the sump.
Well, someone lost a wheel or a tyre coming down Conrad Straight, and I was just sitting behind some traffic there, and the bloke in front just dodged out, and lo and behold, here's a tyre sitting on the road in front of me, and I'm doing about 250 kilometres per hour, and went straight over it. I mean, happened to split second, and it's knocked out the oil cooler, so the guys will try and bypass it, I guess, and we'll just get out there and see what happens.
There's Colin Bond in car number 4, the Caltex Sierra. But I know the pace car about to go out on the racetrack. But in the meantime, we'll pick up the incident for you. Bond beneath Tooheys Bridge and heads over the top of Mount Panorama. Let's have a look at our Caltex CXT replay. Uh-oh. Pow, straight into the concrete wall. But that gave the cameraman a fright. He's back behind all that protective meshing.
Trying to spot who it is.
Hard to pick, but I'd say...
Might be Gary Rogers.
Here comes the pace car into the pits. We're ready to go back and racing. Interesting to see whether or not Larry Perkins ducks into the pits as well. Spectators stand on the banks and start cheering because we have the great race underway again. A green flag is out. And forget the order of the field across the line because Alan Moffat is still your race leader in car number 9. Second place being held by Tony Longhurst. The 45, Armin Hana, Robbie Francovic Sierra is running in 3rd place. Then Larry Perkins in 4th. Then the remaining Dick Johnson, number 18 car, back there in 5th spot. And the 6th car going through there is Colin Bond in the Caltex CXT Sierra.
There's the 16 car, the Starion, Gary Scott, and the Japanese driver Nakaya in 7th position on the track. A very commendable effort, you know.
Dick Johnson started here with 3 cars. 2 down, 1 to go. Some electrical problem.
Not a happy little Vegemite at this juncture.
No, and good reason. There's Thomas Mazera. Last minute word from Tony Longhurst. Car number 25 rejoins the race, running in 3rd position. Also in the pits at the moment, there's Alan Jones, Australia's former Formula One king. Oh, and they've got a few problems here.
Oh, no, that's not bleeding the brakes. That is a monster fuel leak. Now, we saw this earlier with some of the Sierras in the warm-up lap. You'll remember they were having fuel spill problems, but this is more than just a spill. This is a dead-set leak. They must have punctured the tank there.
It looks as if the breather on the tank, they've had a problem with the valve, and they've overfilled it. It's coming out through the breather. And of course it'll go along now, spreading that round the circuit for a little while, which won't exactly please most of the marshals.
Oh, there's our car. There's our 10th place car, and he's into the wall.
Ray Lintott, who's just taken over the Everlast car, and it certainly won't.
It's the old story of going out on new tires and going too quickly too soon.
Before they heat up.
Yep.
It's Finnegan.
Very Finnegan and Kenny Matthews. That looks like little Ken, actually.
I noticed as we go back to Walkinshaw that they're wheeling the mobile BMW away. The last of the mobile BMWs is going to bed.
He really is a very keen driver, an excellent driver actually, and hasn't had much opportunity to race throughout 1988. There's Greg Hansford of Queensland, 3rd driver in the ANZ lineup for this weekend. Klaus Niedzwitz has done his stints. Moffat has had a run and kept the pace up of the car, the front of the pack, let it throw out, and now Greg Hansford's time. Great shots as they come down. Time for a Caltex replay. You're wondering what went wrong with Kenny Matthews and Terry Finnegan's Commodore.
Something's let go in a big way. It looks like he's done a motor.
This is the race leader, a scheduled stop.
Stopwatches are
and
going.
So keep a very close eye on where Tony Longhurst is. This is probably the most important stop of the race. And I got an unconfirmed report before that Thomas Mazera has to go back in the 25 car to do 20 laps. So
this is a problem.
Yeah, they got drama. So Tony Longhurst must be about coming off the mountain now.
That looks very much like a cylinder head gasket to me.
And Longhurst has gone through to the lead. So, minute and 45 seconds in the pits, and an unconfirmed report up here that there's oil floating around in the water of this car, and if that's the case, she's got big problems.
Yeah, they've got problems here with the 10 car. Looks like it's all over for the Holden Special Vehicles team.
What's the problem, John Brady?
Well, at this stage, they don't know. I just talked to Andy Morrison, the crew manager here, the team manager. He has no idea of what the problem is.
Larry's taking it rather philosophically. He had the helmet off even before he arrived on pit road, so it was all over, whatever it was. And Longhurst headed for his pit bay at the moment.
Here he comes.
Yes, Tony is stepping out. Thomas Mazera will go back into the car. They've got all the time on their side because the number 10 car was only a lap down on it.
And as you said before, John Bow, there he is. May still well team up with Dick Johnson and could still pull off a win. And Dick is standing by in pit lane. If you cast your mind back, Gary and Mike, to his Formula Ford run in Australia a couple of seasons ago, you could not touch this guy in that class. He was brilliant, and he's tried so very hard to make a name for himself in Europe. He's running in British Formula 3 alongside the likes of Gary Brabham. Around goes the lusty Commodore.
It's done it.
And he's dropped some, well, what's he dropped there? Water? She's had the thing must have let go and it sprayed rubbish all over the rear tyres.
Mazera very wisely just ducked briefly down to the escape road to avoid any possible collision. Smart thinking.
Keep it all crossed, Tony. It's looking good for you at the moment.
He's got the winning grin.
As the last lap board comes out, the race has been going now for 7 hours and 1 minute.
But who's counting?
A heck of a day.
Wait for the reaction. For Thomas Mazera, Tony Longhurst and Frank Gardner. Fans on top of Mount Panorama saluting them. Down to Forest Elbow. Final time. Officials and the fans up there acknowledge Thomas Mazera as he powers out of there. Heads down Conrod Straight for the final time. For the 1988 Tooheys 1000 at Mount Panorama at Bathurst, congratulations to Thomas Mazera, the great race winner in our bicentennial year. Frank Gardner has finally cracked it, and so too has Tony Longhurst, and they deserve it. Yes.
Dickie Johnson in second place, car number 18, after a great drive with John Bow. And third place is going to go to car number 4 with Alan Jones at the wheel, the Colin Bond Caltex Racing Ford Sierra.
We're only about 10 seconds away from the start of the 1989 Tooheys 1000. They're racing, and Johnson lights up the tyres. Brock goes with him, and Longhurst a brilliant start. Down on the inside, and Brock will win the start. Alan Moffat's car, Klaus Neeswitz, will probably drop into third as they go to the first corner and work up Mountain Straight for the first time, but a brilliant start by Peter Brock. Shows the way up towards the mountain as the rest of the field goes through. We haven't had an incident in the first corner. Now they're heading up to the right-hander.
Somebody was out in the dirt halfway up Mountain Straight. There was plenty of rock and roll happening there.
It's Brock in front. Johnson drops into second. Klaus Neeswitz is third as they go through the right-hander and work their way up Motorcraft Hill.
Brad Jones right on their tail. Andrew Madecki, Jim Richards.
Madecki pulled to the right then. I think he may have a problem.
Slowing.
Over the top of the mountain, and you'll find it's Peter Brock, still leading from Dick Johnson. Here they come, down towards Skyline.
Some cheers up here for Brock.
Brocky the leader, Johnson second, Neeswitz is third. Brad Jones back to fourth place. They are very, very close as they hit the dipper.
Top 3 cars have pulled away substantially already. There was a bit of a bottleneck in the second group of cars as they went to the right-hander at the end of Mountain Straight.
Down to Toledo Tools' turn. As they exit there, we'll see whether Johnson's going to pull out of the draft and go for it.
Looked like there was some fuel bleeding out of the back of the Johnson car as Dick now pulls to the left-hand side of the road, makes a run down the outside of Peter Brock. Has he got more straight line speed?
They're side by side down Conrod Straight, heading beneath our overhead camera. Johnson puts his nose in front. Brock back to second. Neeswitz sits on their tail in third. Once again, Brock closes it up as they hit Caltex Chase. These guys are very smooth and very fast. Beneath the Bridgestone Bridge, coming down to complete the first lap. Crowd already starting to come alive at the bottom of the straight as they see Dick Johnson to lead the first lap.
So it's Johnson, car number 17, Shell Ford Sierra. Peter Brock in second place, being assaulted now by Klaus Neeswitz, who has a look on the inside. Fourth, Brad Jones. Fifth, Jimmy Richards. Then we've got Jones, Seaton, the second of the Shell cars, Larry Perkins, Gianfranco Brancatelli and Win Percy.
Cheers continue. Dick Johnson this time leading across the top of the mountain.
Let's take a look at the Prima Holidays replay of the start from the cockpit of the GTSR Nissan Skyline of Jim Richards. And look at Madecki's car smoking off the line. Covers his ground to the left-hander. It was all pretty sedate, really. Not too much jostling in the first 3 or 4 cars.
Only problem, I think, was for Madecki. I think those revs might have done some damage.
And you notice that Longhurst really spluttered his way up the early part of Mountain Straight. Something strange has occurred a little bit further up here to Andrew Madecki as they go up to the right-hander at the end of Mountain Straight. You certainly had a lot of wheel spin off the line.
He's about to pull over to the right.
Right there. Something's failed.
Tony Longhurst continues the chase after Gianfranco Brancatelli, who's run into problems here. There's smoke coming off Brancatelli.
Oh,
Looks
he's
like
had a shunt.
He's hit something or other.
Now, he sprayed oil all down through the S. Oh, he's lost a wheel. But there was, you could see sheets of oil coming out of the back of that car. I wouldn't like to arrive over there at 1,000,000 miles an hour now. There's the wheel trailing down behind. Okay, who's this?
Well, it looks like one of the Peter Jackson Sierras has had a shunt.
Now, I'm only guessing, but I wouldn't mind betting that the oil that's been dropped at the top of the hill sent a few blokes scurrying. Remember that Seaton would have been behind Brancatelli.
And apparently, I understand, Neil, that there's a part of a tyre barrier has been knocked loose across the top of the circuit. So maybe that's how that's all happened. Oh, this is Seaton.
Yeah, that's the oil that's done that.
Oh, there's the tyre barrier that we heard was out across the road. Seaton has slammed it. The oil was left there by Brancatelli.
No, it's you can see why people really get addicted to it, and I guess that's what it is. It's almost an addiction, I think.
Here is the number 9 car in the pits. This is the Greg Hansford, Pierre Dieudonné car. That's the first of problems now for the Alan Moffat ANZ SO team. Was in 5th position, so this Sierra overheating, and looks like one of the Benson and Hedges Sierras, Tony Longhurst, about to head into the pit area.
Looks like they may be pushing the car just forward. There's a couple of other guys to do pit stops, or is it going behind the pit wall? And it looks like that is exactly where it's headed. So Tony Longhurst, the defending race champion of the Tooheys 1000, the 88 winner. Overheating problems for a couple of the Sierras. Not for this one, though. Tricky Dicky of Queensland, who continues to lead the Tooheys 1000. Over the top of the mountain now. On his way down to Skyline. Sweeps it out wide.
As they zip across the top. Skyline, appropriately named. Down through the Dipper and the S's. Running 6th and 7th, these two cars on the track at the present time, with 43 laps gone in the great race.
Sensational pictures. Put a lap on the Mitsubishi, coming down to Forest Elbow.
Kevin Bartlett at the wheel there of the Mitsubishi.
There's a bit of a speed difference there between the number 2 and the number 3 car as they work Conrod Straight.
The number 18 Shell car with Rob Gravitt at the wheel is in the pits for a fairly lengthy pit stop here. Dick Johnson, the race leader, has been in and out very quickly and retains the lead. In fact, not quite sure what the stop was about. It was a quick tyre change. They looked under the bonnet. I don't think they did anything. John Bow, of course, in that car, the number 17 car. But Gravitt here anxiously waiting and going nowhere for the moment. He's right now. He's away. Rob Gravitt rejoins, but a very expensive pit stop in terms of time for him.
So number 20 was up to 3rd, now rejoins in position 7, and problems now for the car that was running as high as 5th. That's Alan Grice.
Gearbox problem, and we understand one of the pit crew, Grice's pit crew, has burned himself pretty badly trying to work under the car. Oh, there it is in a bag of ice.
John Bow, car number 17. He's been out there for a spell now. Still 56 seconds clear of the ANZ Sierra with Frankie Beeler at the wheel. And Andy Rouse in Peter Rock's number 5 car. George Fury, Anders Olofsson up to 4th. And the Nissan right behind them. Jim Richards, Mark Scaife. Scaife at the wheel at the moment. In the first of the Commodores in 6th place, that's Larry Perkins. In 7th spot, it's Neil Crompton. 8th spot was Glenn Seaton coming into the pit stop. 9th spot, Tony Longhurst, and rounding out the 10, Andrew Bagnall.
Motorcraft pit report shows us Klaus Niedzwitz relieving Frank Beeler.
Rudy Eckenberger with his crew there. Good stop. This is sensational stuff through here. Full tilt, across Skyline, down into the S's. This is what really takes your breath away, even if you just drive around the circuit in your car.
Car number 50. This is the BMW M3 being shared by Brett Riley and Ludwig Finnar. They are the leaders of the 1600 up to 2500 cc class. They're in 17th position on the racetrack, 4 laps down on the race leader at the present time, praying for rain. But leading the class and doing a good job.
The remaining number 20 B&H Sierra.
Still in 7th place, you know, despite all their troubles.
Yeah. Tony's had a run in the car. Alan Jones started off running this car until they had a head gasket problem with Tony's 25 mount. This is what really takes your breath away, even if you just drive around the circuit in your car.
Car number 50. This is the BMW M3 being shared by Brett Riley and Ludwig Finnar. They are the leaders of the 1600 up to 2500 cc class. They're in 17th position on the racetrack, 4 laps down on the race leader at the present time, praying for rain. But leading the class and doing a good job.
The remaining number 20 B&H Sierra.
Still in 7th place, you know, despite all their troubles.
Yeah. Tony's had a run in the car. Alan Jones started off running this car until they had a head gasket problem with Tony's 25 mount. So they're in 7th. And of course, 17, John Bow continues to lead. That gap open now to 71 seconds. The number 10 car runs in 2nd spot with Klaus Niedzwitz back at the wheel. Georgie Fury sharing the Nissan Skyline with Swede Anders Olofsson runs 3rd.
Yeah, drama for Peter Brock here. The back right-hand wheel nut is locked on. Those huge pneumatic spanners trying to get it off, and they've had now 3 of them onto it, just taking them off in succession. And it's locked on good and tight at the moment.
It's major drama there for Peter Brock. The car was up to 3rd.
Won't be much thread left when they do get it off.
No, there won't be. There's no second car to fall back in for this one either, but the 105 car. So Peter Brock just sits there. This was to be number 10. They're still working away, Peter. Must be a terrible feeling to have worked it up into 3rd and just be sitting here in the pits and watching them go by.
Yeah, it's not what I'm paid to do, but not much I can do about it at the moment. I just have to sort of keep it cool and get out there and sort of do my job when the guys have finished the pit stop. They were changing these wheels the other day at about 9 seconds. It seems that it's about 9 minutes at the moment.
Time now for a Prima Holidays replay. Let's have a look at this. The feeling this is the Kevin Waldock car. Yes, spinning it, coming over the top of Skyline. And how close was that for the 20 car? Ooh, parked it right out in front. It's the Tony Longhurst number 20 car. And also the Nissan now going around the outside. Kevin Waldock, Brian Thompson car. That is not the place to park. They got the wheel off now. They've got plenty of metal and shavings around it as well. Do a filing job on that. The groove. Try and get the centre lock to catch. But that is just going to cost several laps. It will be almost impossible to come back from there. It's in fact dropping down now. The 5 car is back to 10th, leaving the Bow Johnson Sierra at the front of the field. The Klaus Niedzwitz Moffat car in 2nd, George Fury in 3rd.
Oh, goodness me.
We've got one on fire.
M3, 56.
Driver's out.
Oh, that is really a mess.
The New Zealand entry, that's Sachs and Lorimer.
The driver is out, as Neil had mentioned there, running back down the hill.
Hell.
Was 2nd in the class and 18th outright. Problems here for Elaine Furte in car number 35, the Peter Jackson Sierra.
It's a tricky manoeuvre. Gary Wilmington gets through.
That's a really dangerous spot.
Oh, the marshal shouldn't be. Well, he's not going to push him out of the way there.
No, if I would, I'd get out of the way in a big hurry, because when you come over there, there's just no way you can stop the car drifting. I'm sure there'd be double yellow flags out there, but
35 was running 8th with Alain Furte at the wheel.
Anxious pit crew members. Oh, this is awful. Bagnall goes through.
I guess there's 2 evils there.
Yeah,
Leading a car there is also extremely dangerous, but gee whiz.
Glenn Seaton, look at the look on his face.
Says it all. It's off the racing line through there, but the way they got it off the racing line. And again, they had the yellow flags out. That's really relying on drivers' concentration. That's the John Cotter, Peter Dillman BMW BM3, 2nd in class and 16th outright. That's quite a good effort.
Peter Dillman, I think we mentioned before, local Bathurst boy, now in Sydney, in engineering down there. John Cotter, a solicitor from Parramatta, enthusiastic, the pair of them, rookies at Mount Panorama. This is their first outing here.
Tell you what, they've done well. It doesn't look like they've had tremendous trade support.
Largely unsponsored.
Yep.
Peter Dillman from a family of 10.
Well, that's one BMW that's looking pretty hot. Here's one that, according to our Prima Holidays replay, had a little less. 57.
That's the car that was running 3rd in the class at the time.
He's had a straight ahead there, but he's missed the concrete and the start of the wall out of there.
Well, that's the second Sachs team entry from New Zealand, so one of them's caught fire, and this one's in the wall. Coming down to Caltech's chase. Gaining on Dick Johnson at the rate of about a second and a half a lap.
The Dick Johnson, John Bow, Shell Sierra leading the pack. Klaus Needsvit second, and Frank Bieler. And the ANZ Sierra. Behind them, Jim Richards and George Fury and the two Nissans. How much does this mean to you personally, John?
Well, I suppose it's every motor racing person's dream to win Bathurst. I suppose having come second in the last 2 years, you sort of get a bit sick of coming second. I came second in the Gold Star behind Alfie Costanzo a few times, and I got a bit sick of that.
I just want to get your reaction when you see this 1 lap to go board.
Gee, that sun's bad, you can't see.
There was a lovely little sign there that said last lap, John.
Yeah, I know, wouldn't it be?
Dick, it is going to happen. You are going to win this one with JB. Here comes the crowd reaction to John Bow driving the Dick Johnson Shell Sierra across the top of the mountain for the final time. Down to Skyline. And John's actually got the hand out the window acknowledging the cheers. That's quite a feeling, John, isn't it?
It's incredible, isn't it? The guys that were barracking for Brocky this morning and were booing us, they're even clapping. Fantastic.
All you got to do is keep breathing.
We started our telecast at 10 this morning with the great race. John Bow leads us into the last corner. JB, how does it feel? You're the Tooheys champion for 89.
Unbelievable. Fancy doing that.
You've done it.
That's incredible feeling.
Congratulations to you from all the viewers around Australia today. And Dick Johnson has actually broken into a big smile. About to take the checkered flag now is Klaus Needsvit, second place in the Tooheys 1000. And of course, third will go to Jim Richards and Mark Scaife for Nissan. Fourth place to George Fury and Anders Olofsson, also in a Nissan. The form finish for third and fourth. Stand by Australia, stand by TV3 in New Zealand and the world. Australia's great race ready to explode from Mount Panorama Bathurst, Sunday, September 30. And cribbing the line almost was one of the pole cars getting away. Peter Brock, a magnificent start up on the outside. Just watch Brocky go, and Seaton will move into third spot. Longhurst a brilliant start. Johnson a very, very poor start. And Klaus Needsvit is at least through the first turn. Look at the traffic, and they head up Mountain Straight for the first time. Going beneath the Corolla sign, the bridge halfway along Mountain Straight. And here they come. The jockeying for positions now, up to the right-hander at Repco. As they exit that turn and now make their way up Mountain Straight towards BP Cutting. Percy going through, Cropton going through, Needsvit's in front, Brock second, Seaton, then followed by Longhurst, then the second of the ANZ cars. George Fury, a great start, and Colin Bond just ahead of the two V8 Commodores. The exit from BP now to the top, and Jim Richards already up there trying to pass some cars in the Nissan GTR. Across now to the top of the mountain, heading down towards Skyline. No incidents. Look at the lead so far as Needsvit blitzes them through there. Brock in second. Seaton is your next driver, followed by Longhurst. Then, of course, Greg Hansford moving up smartly, also the second of the Dick Johnson car. So we've had a great start.
We have. This was made in heaven for Klaus Needsvit, but poor Dick Johnson. I don't think he gave it enough revs at the start. The car bogged down, and he almost got hit from behind.
Exactly, and Peter Brock was away very, very smartly. Come down to Forest Elbow for the first time. The wide open spaces of Conrod Straight. The exit from that turn, the Nissan still sitting in there behind. Brancatelli runs back behind the second Johnson car. So an incident-free first lap. And as you said, Klaus Needsvit at this stage of the race heading down to the right-hander at Caltech's chase. A comfortable lead over Peter Brock. Great shot there of the speed and the approach shot. Also the right-hander. Just watch them jockeying for positions as they go into the right-hander at Caltex.
Somebody up there is looking after Klaus Needsvit at the moment. This is an enormous lead that he's built up already on the first lap and really showing that the top 10 runoff that he just cleaned up really was no fluke.
Bruce asked earlier this morning whether or not it was a good form guide yesterday, and I said maybe. That is a great form guide, because Nisvits has started. The fans think this is fabulous. They're watching 7 Sport, following the coverage, and they hear trackside as well.
And look at the Nissan, it's made up 2 places now since we last saw a shot of it. The Nissan is now up past Gianfranco Brancatelli and chasing after the second of the ANZ cars with Greg Hansford at the wheel.
And there's Richards, the man we're following, the man on the move at the moment, zeroing in behind Dick Johnson as they head down Conrod Straight. Look at the speed of this car.
Freddie Gibson's done a tremendous job with this car, and they've brought the boss of Nismo in Japan over, Mr. Hioki, to come and have a look at it. He's amazed by it. He's up another spot already.
Well, who would have thought after seeing Longhurst on Wednesday and Thursday that he'd be taken by 2 cars down Conrod?
They're in race trim today too, aren't they?
Absolutely. Both Richards and Johnson taking him there, and this is just an absolutely glorious start for the Nissan. They couldn't have asked for any more than this. They've got themselves into the picture.
We take our Nissan race cam, so you're riding with Jim Richards. Here he comes, making the move on Dick Johnson. To the outside, the left-hander sits up here, but he won't pass. He'll try and get him on the inside as they go through this turn, and now swing down the inside of the car. Johnson out on the ripple strip. It's Richards now grabbing another gear. Let's have a look at the horsepower. Has it got any horsepower? 600 brake, they claim, and Johnson gets the blow-by from Jimmy Richards. Richards now storming towards the leaders. The Nissan has just gone by Peter Brock in the Mobil 1 Sierra 05. Pete continues that problem of locking a brake. We've noticed that in the early laps of this race, but settling into almost conservative mode at the moment. The exit to BP cutting.
Jeff Allen working away there in the 18 car, pulls out of the draft, out of the slipstream, and alongside of Greg Hansford. And that's it. Looks like he's made the place there. So Jeff Allen moves up now and takes away 6th place from Greg Hansford.
Bondi in position number 8 at the moment, challenging Seaton for 7th place. And running in behind them, looks like Larry Perkins.
Perkins, another of the movers in the Commodores. And the Commodores, I believe, really will come good towards the end of the race.
Look at this fantastic view that we're bringing you, our race cam team with this special camera, silhouette cam we like to call it, as we hang it out the side of the Colin Bond Caltech Sierra. He's chasing Glenn Seaton at the moment, putting a lot of pressure on Glenn Seaton as they go across the top of the mountain. You'll see a great view here as they come up to Skyline on the concrete wall. How close would you like it? Drifting out here. Watch the movement of the front wheels, now tucking into the left-hander. Seaton gives the Sierra a dab of the brakes. At the moment, though, Jim has spread-eagled the field. He's opened the gap up to 32.5 seconds. And no matter which way you look at it, that is a huge lead. Jimmy Richards, you're not hogging this race, are you?
Well, Mike, we've got to do a few brake stops, so we've got to make a little bit of a buffer so that when we come in, we can keep the time on the track open.
So Dick Johnson has 2 cars in the top 5. Johnson currently 2nd, and this car number 18 in 5th position. So great start for Shell after a pretty ordinary start at the beginning of the day when Dick Johnson got left somewhat at the beginning when Klaus Nisvits was away. So the number 18 car has performed very well today. It made it all the way from 13th to 3rd at one stage.
Okay, let's go to that incident, catch up what happened. The Finnegan and Leeds car. Prima Holidays replay here at Bathurst. They were running 26th on the road. Uh-oh, just out of the curve there, and the spin out of harm's way and off the racing line. Now from another angle. The cars go through the dipper, and that's where it broke loose on him. Food for thought. So, oh, dearie me, the 27 car we're just showing you has now run into an even greater spot of bother here on the racetrack. The 25 car is in the pits, and it looks like we have some problems. Tony Longhurst stepping from the car. This looks very ominous. Tony Longhurst, they have a major problem with the Benson and Hedges number 25 car.
Right, push it away quickly.
And here's the gap. The race leader, Mark Scaife, in the Nissan 4-wheel steer number 1 car.
You can see the ground now. The Grice is pulled on the Nissan. Right up onto the tail of it again.
fantastic stuff.
Listen, though, just awesome down this straight.
Yeah, 620 horsepower.
Well, what's happened here?
He's pulled wide there as they went into Forest Elbow. Now, if there's no problem with the car, he'll just shoot straight past again down the straight.
Well, all Gricey wants to do is lead this.
Well, he's doing it.
So the Holden Commodore comes from behind to pass the Nissan GTR for the lead. Oh, and problems for the number 20 car. It is very, very warm. The second of the B&H Sierras. Larry Perkins has had just an off moment at the end of pit straight.
Larry was trying to catch Dick Johnson there for second place.
Okay, let's have a look and see what happened here. As Perkins backs on out. Oh, there's one coming from the other side of Bathurst. That's the GIO Commodore.
It's been down to the driving.
Well, they've all managed to pick themselves up. Prima Holidays bring you the replay, and this is it when the Jones number 20 car, I think, has exploded. Yes, it has. He heads off to the inside part of the racetrack, and maybe Larry got caught in what he left on the ground.
Yeah, I think it would have left more than a bit of fluid around.
That looks like the turbo has had it for the day.
John Bauer brings in the 17 car. Well, you can't see much around the car.
There's smoke all over the place. Barely see the guy get. There's Bauer. He's got smoke in his eyes. What a tragedy for Dick Johnson. The engine sounding strong. Hello. They've got the Nissan's got a problem. Richard's slowing on Conrad. There's smoke billowing from the back of the car. And just when we were saying what a fantastic run it was having, look at this. Deary me, there's something in the transmission's gone on that car. That sounds very, very serious.
It's all happening here at Mount Panorama. No troubles at the moment, John, for Larry Perkins in the Perkins Engineering Castrol Commodore. They've been running very, very strongly indeed. Throughout the race, Perkins, the leader, holding about a 17-second advantage over Jeff Allen and the number 18 Shell Sierra. Then a fair gap back to Alan Grice. Peter Jackson Sierra stalled on the way up to the top of the mountain. That is not the place you park at Mount Panorama, let me tell you. The exit to BP cutting, he's going to try and see if he can fire it, or he's going to reverse it into that little area. Ray Lintott, Gary Rush car going through one of the Corollas, and also I think he's overshot the area there anyway. He's trying to back in a bit. He's going to be hard in against the wall unless some of the marshals can assist. At least he's off the racing line there. Well, as you can see, back out on the racetrack again, Mark Scaife has taken over the number 1 Nissan GTR. It rejoined the race in 21st position. And I think it's certainly well and truly out of contention, but they are going to prove that this car can still run strongly. CV joint put down as the problem. And Peter Brock, just in and out of the pits, hasn't dropped a spot. Still runs 4th on the road at the moment. We've had coming together at the top of the mountain here, car number 37, which I think is one of the Callahan cars, has whacked the wall. Yeah. Now, whether or not that'll bring out the at Forest Elbow, the exit there, Toledo Tools turn.
The situation at the lead at the moment is Perkins still leading by 25 seconds, but that's sort of negated because he still has to make a stop. The real battle for the lead is between Radicic in the 18 car and Alan Grice in the HRT Commodore, and the gap between those two is 13 seconds.
Here's our camera sitting on the wall. Pow, it just never made the turn. The car has gone straight ahead, airborne, hit the wall, and has bounced back onto the racetrack.
Gricey on the way up the mountain for the third last time.
You can see in the background there's the red Sierra just coming onto the straight. So they're the length of mountain straight apart. So it'll be interesting to see over the next lap or so how close they get now.
So they might be measuring the fuel back there in the pits, but Gricey's just cranked out a 2-minute 18 lap just to let them know that they're all fair dinkum.
Yeah.
So the gap has opened up again to about 15 seconds. Lap and a half to go. Have you got enough gas, Al?
Yeah, we're looking pretty good, Mike. Anyway, it's a bit expensive to buy up here on top of the mountain.
Yes, the crew looked a little nervous with the churn out there.
Everybody's nervous with 11.5 to go, mate. I've cut the revs back. We certainly, we've done this number of laps before today, and I'm actually running less revs, as you can see. So, quite sure we'll make it.
I think there's a nice sign coming up for you here now. What does it say?
Last lap, it's a nice little sign. There's some happy boys and sick heads up here.
Got time to give them a wave?
I'll be doing that.
Fans on top of the mountain, here he comes.
Mate, they love the Commodores.
Oh, look at them. You've made their day.
Somebody's put oil all over the road there. I only just saw it. I was a bit busy looking at the crowd. But there's oil all over the road back there. Bradley, watch out for that. Oil all the way down the mountain.
Little slippery out of there too?
Yes. Well, whoever's laying the oil, if they're doing it on the last lap, I hope they make it home.
It's been great to ride with you and win Percy with our 7 Dulux Auto Colour race cam, Alan.
Well, it's been an absolute privilege to drive this motor car, I can assure you of that. It has the most brilliant brakes I've ever felt in a touring car. I think the boys have done a superb job to build the winning motor car.
Under the bridge, coming down to the final corner. Checkered flag time. Crowd absolutely berserk. Last turn, checkered flag. How does it feel? Tooheys champ, Alan Grice.
It's the best feeling I've had since 1986, I'm going to tell you.
Well done, son. You've driven superbly.
Thanks, Mike.
The 7 Network welcomes you to Bathurst. The 29th edition of the great race. They're racing off the starting line. We take chopper cam, and you can see that Mark Gibbs has absolutely stonewalled them off the start. And in fact, it wouldn't be surprising to see whether Dick Johnson has been able to get up on the outside. Jim Richards missed the kick initially, but they're all through the first turn and heading up Mountain Straight now for the first time. No incidents through past the sand trap. And Mark Gibbs, the young Sydney driver, driving for Bob Forbes Racing in the GIO Nissan. There he is, out in front. Jimmy Richards back in third, and it looks like a great start from Dickie Johnson or John Bower.
Nissan Ford as they head up the mountain for the first time. A poor start from Richards, but he did get it going. Look at this, the GIO car of Gibbs Onslow. These young guys have got a lot to prove, and they would be rapt to be leading the first lap of this race.
And Glenn Seaton coming back after a tardy start, slipped from 3rd position on the grid back to about 9th, but has recovered a few places already.
You can't win this one in one lap. But Mark Gibbs is sprinting. The 2 Johnson Sierras, 2nd and 4th, split by Jimmy Richards. And wait for the crowd to acknowledge Peter Brock and the Holden set at the top of the mountain. Here's Richards sitting in behind Johnson.
There's the second of the Nissan GTRs, the Price Walden car. Peter Brock just ahead of him, holding up the Holden flag on the first lap around.
Coming down towards the dipper. The exit from there. Win Percy up with them. Beautiful shot from our chopper at the top of Mount Panorama as they run down towards Mazda Forest Elbow. And an incident-free start to the event as they work their way now to Conrod Straight for the first time. One of the early ones, out car number 32, with a head gasket problem in the pits already.
Bobby Tyndall. Big disappointment for him.
Yes, they would be. That's the GIO car that's cross-entered for Gibbs and Onslow, so they haven't got another car to fall back on. But boy, if they got the pedal down on this opening lap, they've opened about 100 metres on the field as they come through Caltech's chase the first time around.
Notice one of the Moffat cars already up alongside Win Percy, and down on the brakes comes Jim Richards, takes the number 18 car. Dick Johnson sits in behind as they strike off the first lap here at Mount Panorama. Mark Gibbs driving for Bob Forbes Racing in the Nissan, sponsored by GIO, will lead them up Mountain Straight for the second time.
Nissan first and second, then the 2 Shell Team Sierras, followed by the second of the Nissan team cars.
They go beneath the Nissan Bridge. What a beautiful start. Let's have a look at the Prima Holiday replay as we take our race cam with Dick Johnson. He got away very smartly behind them, and it was John Bow up on the outside who was able to slot into second place behind Gibbs, then Richards, then Johnson.
Nose to tail, the next half dozen. Glenn Seaton going through. Neil Crompton, or Brad Jones rather, in the number 7 Holton dealer team car.
Well, the beauty for Jimmy Richards here is that he's got a second car to fall back on if something goes wrong with this car, so they can really use the lead car as the hare and make all the tortoises follow.
Dice for the lead now as Mark Gibbs in the GIO Nissan is passed by Jimmy Richards on the outside. Richards sneaks up, takes the lead away. Gibson will now fall in behind. They've already established quite a break over the rest of the field. The exit from Repco Corner, and they work their way now towards BP Cutting. Look at this as Glenn Seaton on the inside. Here he comes, car number 30, through on the inside of Dick Johnson. He may have missed the start, as Gary pointed out. Wow, straight over the top of their track cam is Jim Richards, the exit from Mazda Corner, and he now works Conrod Straight. That's the gap back to second. Mark Gibbs, a little taily coming out of there, then followed by John Bow. Next one is Drew Price. Then Glenn Seaton and those bunch of Holdens right behind him. One of the Corollas just down a lap already as Richards sprints down Conrod Straight. Here comes Seaton down the outside of the Sierra. Now down on the brakes through the gears when Percy closes up on the tail of the Pride of Queensland, but gets it sideways. And out goes Percy. Will he hit the wall? He saves it. Brakes are locked on. Percy has been able to save that, the 16 car.
But there is damage on that front right-hand guard. Look at that. That tyre is almost rubbing there. That is expensive for HRT. Let's see if Percy comes into the pits.
Well, he should come in immediately.
Yeah, the tyre is rubbing. You can see smoke coming off the front tyre, but he's going to do another lap. Now, this will be critical to the result of this car in this race. I'm sure he's not aware that he has this problem.
It looks like the Product car has gone into the wall, or the tyre wall at the top of the mountain. Let's have a look at this with our Prima Holiday replay. 33. Oh, dearie me. He's launched that. That's the Pearson Stewart car. Bob Pearson.
Bruce Stewart.
And veteran Bruce Stewart, who's been here for a number of years.
What a shame.
And that has really tweaked the front and the rear of the car.
05, the Peter Brock Mobile Commodore is in trouble. Andrew Madecki at the wheel. He's stopped on the climb up toward the cutting.
He's got nothing going there.
No. That 5-litre V8 is dead as a doornail.
Well, they've had considerable problems with this car today. They had turbo damage earlier that kept them in the pits for a considerable while. Shuffled them right back to the back of the field, and they're in serious problem. Can't see until they come around the next curve what the problem is. Front right, by the look of it, it's either missing altogether or very... it's missing altogether, all right.
Oh, there's doing some damage there. Lower ball joint on the suspension being ground away.
Meantime, John Brady, we've got a shot here from race cam of Andrew Miedeke working on the 05 Brock car, all on his own. Still parked at the side of the circuit, trying to figure out what the problem is with this car and try and get it back up and running, because the laps are ticking away and it's becoming almost an impossible task. Lost another one.
Now, that might be the same car. You get a look at it side on. If it's 44, it's dumped another wheel. 43.
Sister car.
The team car. So there's 3 Sierras have lost the left front wheel. Sorry, is that the left front?
That's the right front.
The right front,
yeah.
sorry. And left and right-hand drive cars, very confusing.
There's problems for the Neil Crompton Bradley Jones number 7 Holden Racing Team Commodore. Crompton had taken the car up to 9th on the road. He's had a shunt somewhere around the circuit. They've hit it with the 100-mile-an-hour tape, the silver tape. They're trying to make sure that there's nothing damaged. Crompton decided to bring the car in just at the same time. That's our bumper cam sitting out the front, giving you the best view. The other good news is Andrew Madecki has passed the TAFE course and has the 05 car back and mobile, or limping anyway towards the pits. Nissan number 1 car, Jim Richards, pitted and rejoined the race, still in the lead, so they have not dropped the lead away.
They've got a wheel coming off.
Was it a wheel coming off, or he might have a puncture? That tyre looked to be a little bit down as he went up the mountain.
Longhurst was in 5th place.
Here goes the tyre.
He's about to lose it. The 20 car was in 10th place.
I've seen Dick Johnson in a similar situation in his Mustang several years ago, and he managed to hold it all together. Well, Larry Perkins at the wheel at the time, and bring it down the mountain safely. But there's no guarantees here. That tyre is going to get shredded very badly by the time he's down toward the pits.
Oh. Car 20 has left the pits with Denny Hulme at the wheel.
That is a rotten piece of luck for BMW, running so strongly at 3rd position at one stage. Yes, Neil Crompton, Brad Jones, number 7, the second of the HRT team cars, getting pushed to the side of the road.
Bond rejoins the race in 10th position, dropped 2 spots there on the changeover.
What happened, son?
We're out of gas. Very high-tech problem.
Oh.
Switched the reserve on as we came up pit straight. That was the first indication of the car coughing, and she only made it to the cutting.
Colin Bond, car number 8, the Caltech Sierra. This is a replay of exactly what happened or what led to the pit stop. Have a look. Bang. Dearie me, recover that well.
Oh dear. Smoke pouring from the front left-hand wheel.
That's looking fairly terminal. And that's looking even worse.
Yep, the Seaton car was coughing and spluttering its way out, and it hasn't even made it out of pit lane. I can see the Peter Jackson pit crew running up the end of the pit lane to pull it back. Oh, look at this. Smoke pouring out the inside of the cockpit of the 17 car. John Bowe getting covered in smoke and fumes. The wheels shaking, obviously a problem on the front left-hand corner of the car. But he's only a couple of 100 metres from pit lane, so he should make it back. Well, it's quite a barbecue in the 17 car. Meanwhile, car 18 comes in.
This is going to be good when 17 arrives.
Yeah, we're going to have 2 Shell Sierras, or one of them at least, not on a scheduled stop. And Johnson's recent bad luck continues. 1991 has not been his year.
Well, there's even bigger problems. The Johnson car is coming back, and they're pushing the Peter Jackson car back at the same time down pit lane.
So 3 Sierras there in trouble.
Engine gone in 9.
We're only just saying, it's amazing. That was not a Channel 7 voodoo, but we're just saying how well the Millen Brabham car was going. One of the Moffat Sierras, and here it is limping up the mountain with smoke belching from the exhaust.
Coming down the Conrad Straight the last time before I came in the pits, it just got really soft, and I could smell some oil and so on, which is an indication that the turbochargers failed.
Yep. It was desperately bad luck for you guys. You put on a great act so far this week with both cars. First time at Bathurst. Yeah. What are your reflections on the race?
It's a fantastic event. I'm really impressed with the facility and the professionalism, the organisation of the place, and the preparation of the cars. Alan Moffat's given us a really good car, but it's just really great to be here. It's a race I've always wanted to do, and I hope I can come back.
Well, there's the number 1 car that dictates the pace. As we check out the Caltex race score, Richards and Scaife leading in the Nissan GTR. Percy and Grice, the defending champions, run in second. Gibbs and Onslow in the GIO Nissan GTR run third. Brancatelli and Charlie O'Brien in the Synovus Vitamin Sierra run in fourth. Fifth is Radicic and Shield. Position number 6, Fitzgerald and Denny Hulme in the B and H BMW. Kevin Waldock and Brett Peters, great effort that, up to 7th. 8th is Bond and Crosby in the Caltex Sierra. 9th, the number 30 car, it's just dropped out, and that moves now Tim and Alf Grant. One more spot. Well, that's shades of last year, isn't that bad luck? Dave Barrow. He's clouded that on the wall, hasn't turned. And now the 43 car. Straight off into the sand trap.
Goodness me. These 2 cars had a heck of a day.
Brian Bolwell, who put the package together, was wound up with some rather expensive repair bills. Queensland Plastics entry. Bad luck to Brian as we take our race cam. Sitting on top of Colin Bond's Caltex Sierra, car number 8.
Car 8 running in position 8. So Bondi sitting in the top 10 for most of the day. Had a few problems earlier on, but managed to get it together, and the car seemingly running reliably now. And there's our other race cam looking down the side of the Sierra, which gives you a good idea of the tyre distortions, how much the wheels move and the car slides around on the surface of the track. Hulme and Fitzgerald continue in the one surviving B&H BMW.
They're running 6th outright too.
Well, one of them's hung together. And this is a good effort from these guys.
7th spot held by Kevin Waldock and Brett Peters. That's another great effort from them. As Jimmy Richards comes down at the end of Conrod Straight.
Well, 10 years ago, 1981, Nissan began their campaign for outright honours at Mount Panorama.
Last lap board out as Gentleman Jim looks for Bathurst victory, number 4. To the end of Pit Straight. Now up the mountain for the final time. The order. Oops, we've had one go off. Looks like the Dillman car there off on the side of the road. Little BMW. It was running second in its class. Yes, it's parked on the side of the road. So the order is Richards over Wynne Percy, Alan Grice, and Mark Gibbs, Rowan Onslow, as Bondi trying to limp round just to finish this lap off. Still running in 8th. This would still be a lonely time for Freddie Gibson to be so close, but we've seen things happen. Fred can remember leading one of the races here, popping a tyre and winding on his lid at Skyline. But the crowd should be ready to salute Jimmy Richards. And that they do as he heads down towards the 2WS sweeper for the final time. And here he comes. A great cheer for Gentleman Jim on his way to victory. And what a great year, the Australian Touring Car Championship. He's had to fight the young Turk, Mark Scaife, that has been groomed well and truly by Nissan. But with Mark in the car for pole day sprints and pole position for the race and Jim there for the victory, somehow it all seems fair this afternoon at Bathurst.
Yes, when you think of the long list of Bathurst campaigns by this company, drivers like George Fury, Glenn Seaton, Terry Shield, Gary Scott, boys who've all been aboard Nissan products at one stage or another, always coming very close, but never close enough. Well, looks like they're going to do it, and it's certainly well-deserved. Nissan, long-time commitment to motorsport in this country and around the world, and they certainly deserve the success at Mount Panorama today.
Out of Caltech's chase now for the final time. A smile breaks out on the face of Fred Gibson. Anticipation on the face of Mark Scaife. The run down to the final corner. Here he comes. The very last corner of the 1991 Tooheys 1000 at Mount Panorama, Bathurst. Checkered flag, Jim Richards, Nissan. That's his car. The whole exercise has been worthwhile for Fred Gibson Motorsport. Jubilant scenes as Jimmy Richards heads up Mountain Straight. Jim would love all of this. Wynne Percy, Alan Grice will finish second in the Holden Racing Team Commodore. Third place will go to Bob Forbes Racing, the GIO Nissan GTR of Mark Gibbs and Rowan Onslow. And fourth place, well done to Alan Moffat, the Sonoma's Vitamins Ford Sierra with Big Charlie O'Brien and John Franco Brancatelli. We are 10 seconds away from the start of one of the really great sporting spectacles of Australia, the Tooheys 1000. Engines come up to rev, so they get off the line. Seaton makes and muffs the start, and it's Johnson up on the inside of Perkins with Mark Scaife looking for it, but he'll drop back one spot. 05 is stalled on the starting grid, Peter Brock. And Brock sitting there as the rest of the field goes through the first turn and works their way now up Mountain Straight. Dick Johnson away to a brilliant start. And there's the second of the Johnson cars back in car number 18 as Johnson starts to stretch it. Mark Scaife gets up very, very smartly indeed. Follows up. Mark Gibbs also away to a great start, the first of the Commodores, and Seaton now starting to pick it up. That's Thomas Mazier in the 15 car, qualified so strongly as they go over Repco corner and head up the mountain for the first time. Fabulous sight. Only Peter Brock stalling at the starting line.
A magnificent, there is shot of 05, Peter Brock. What a tragedy for the Holden fans. Fortunately, the rest of the field managed to miss him. There's his other car, car 55, Hideki, and Troy Dunstan. As this magnificent sight, the field streams across the mountain for the first time. Peter Brock just getting mobile on pit straight as they come across this sweeping, fast left-hander across the top of the mountain. The crowd going mad. A mix of V8s, turbos, and here we are, the turbo war. Dick Johnson leading the pack through, then the Works Nissan, then Gibbs. Then the first of the HRT Commodores, Larry Perkins, and the first of the Moffat cars. A great mix on this first lap around Mount Panorama.
One of the great sights of motorsport anywhere in the world is a full field, fresh off the grid, come pouring down off the top of Mount Panorama, lion astern. All cars, maximum weight, top fuel at the present time. Tyres warmed up. Tail shaft problem with Brock's car, 05 apparently. What a tragedy that is for him. I mean, as if this is not a daunting enough task without getting left on the grid.
The exit to Mazda Forest Elbow. We see the number 15 car go through on its way down the straight. Thomas Mazier at the wheel of that, beneath the GIO bridge. And here's Johnson, right behind him, Scaife. Mark Gibbs is the next in the Nissan. Then a helter-skelter. Larry Perkins, who lost the kick initially and now trying to fight back. And 05 being pushed down pit straight, has not started with that transmission problem. Rotten luck for Peter Brock. And you cannot, of course, cross-enter. So that means that unless they can get the car running, Brock's race is over. He never actually left the starting line.
Nissan race cam hot on the heels here of Dick Johnson as they come down across the start-finish line for the first time. One lap completed, 160 to go.
Just saw the back of 05 there next to the wall. What a tragedy for the Peter Brock fans there. I'd say half the crowd here are wearing the 05 colours today. That really is a drama for Peter Brock, but here we are inside the Nissan, and this is going to be a real battle of tactics here. Johnson, we're sure, is going to go out and set the pace for the race, but Fred Gibson adamant that he's going to run with whatever pace the field wants to run. And just coming up pit lane, we have possibly a pace car, so there may be some movement in pit lane as well while they get Peter Brock's car out of the way. So we're only into the second lap of the race. Johnson, Scaife, that's on the back of the works Nissan. Mark Gibbs holding position in third position as they come across the mountain for the second time. This is turbo country. Low ambient temperature, only talking about 10 degrees up here, and these things are really percolating. On outright speed, Dick Johnson's Sierra is the only car that can take the battle up to the Nissans at this stage. And this first hour is going to be an absorbing contest. See if Johnson wants to try and break the back. Well, Mark Scaife ducks down the inside, and he will lead the great race as they come across the line for the third time.
So a change in the lead as the Nissan GTR goes through to leader. Johnson hangs to the outside. He's going to let Mark Scaife set the pace for a while now.
There's certainly no rain at the bottom of the circuit, but we may be getting a few spots of rain off the top.
Larry might be just too busy to turn it off.
Moving right over here, he has had a problem. I suspect there could be a possibility he's got some sort of water leaking from under the bonnet and it's coming up on the screen. I can't imagine why he'd have his wipers going on no one else's.
That's the Denny Holm car, co-driving that with Paul Morris. Now they've got a rescue vehicle out there as well.
And yet the driver's standing there, isn't he? That's
apparently has hit the wall hard there.
Alan
and I would
Grice.
think in the interest of the race, maybe the pace car might even be brought out.
Well, the pace car is just moving up pit lane now. We're going to have the pace car out the track. Alan Grice rejoins in 11th position.
I'm quite surprised. I thought they may have brought the pace car out even earlier today for the Brock car and see exactly what happened. Most of our cameras all ISO. This looks like Denny Holm coming down. He's got a wheel out on the grass.
He's aquaplaned, you see, in the wet.
He's offline and
he's clouded the wall there, and it's brought him across the racetrack.
Now that doesn't look that dramatic, but you see what's happened is he's flicked his head sideways. You've got that support behind your head, but you haven't got the lateral support, and it's obviously damaged his neck in some way.
And there is Denny pulling the car up. What a pleasant afternoon, hurtling around here with a turbocharged 4 Sierra and trying to keep the thing on the island.
We've got a spin, I believe, Michael.
Yep, have a look at that on replay. And that, of course,
Kevin Waldock
is Kevin Waldock and the playscape, but not play safe.
You won't escape that.
Yeah, that's not bad, actually.
Well,
Kevin, great four-wheel drive. In fact, he's
kept the boot into it.
Has he done that? He's absolutely...
Oh,
and
well,
got out.
That's a genius effort.
And a wave, too.
Well,
and he gives the wave.
The playscape Ampol Sierra that John Hewson is masterminding the pit stops.
Bit of off-road ability.
Peter Brock wasn't planning on a pit stop. In the next lap or so, he might have to come in for one in the mobile Commodore, car number 05. We'll show you an incident that happened at Mazda Forest Elbow. Car 18 as well having a problem. That's the Greek Crick, Terry Shield. And they were able to be missed by the second of the mobile Commodores. We'll show you that as soon as we have the incident. But here's what happened.
There's Brocky coming up, and the second Win Percy Alan Grice car, number 16, stopped.
Oh, that's the...
We've had a big accident, the Marathon Foods Commodore.
And the other, it's the second Caltex car.
Yeah, Caltex car 7. The pace car is onto the circuit. That's been quite a high-speed shunt between these two cars. Caltex 7 driven by Peter Hopwood and Terry Bosenjack.
Not much of the boot left there. I hope he didn't have his golf clubs in.
Fire marshals dousing the fuel cell at the rear of the car.
Car 7's the car that Colin Bond campaigned this year in the touring car title. Look at the accident.
Every corner of the car has been banged up.
That's been a monster shunt. Mark Scaife, boy, what a career he's having. 25 years of age, and he's won just about everything there is to win in Australian motorsport. Australian touring car champion, Bathurst winner, Australian Gold Star champion. Now he's won a category in off-road racing. He's also Australian 2-litre champ. He's got an enormous pedigree developed over a very short period of time. Mark Scaife, hard at work.
In Mazda Forest Elbow, car number 3, the Lansvale Smash Repairs Commodore, driven by Ashby and Reed.
Trevor Ashby was at the wheel.
And they were running 15th, but they've gone straight ahead and not taken the left-hand turn. They've got out into the grassy area there and banged into the tyre wall.
That's Trevor Ashby. You can see standing above the wall there, helmet in hand. Pace car is on the track as it had to be until they can clear this out of that corner. So this is the 4th time.
Wynn heads off Repco corner. Whew, straight over our camera. He's got the GTR hauling after him.
It's 1 lap down, actually, at this stage. Win Percy 1 lap down on Scaife and Richards.
It's a little camera hanging out on the back winglet of the Commodore. That's how close he goes to the wall.
What are those cameras worth, Mike?
It sure saves on the cameraman, though.
Yes.
But it is a great view. It's got plenty of muck over it today, but just watch this as they come down to Skyline. I think that's the Wayne Gardner car just up ahead.
Yeah.
Coming down to the dipper.
They're great pictures.
They certainly are. And here's the man of the moment, Mark Scaife. Driving the wheels off the Nissan GTR today. The HRT Commodore sitting in behind him.
But a lap down.
I tell you, he is not sparing the rod, young Scaife.
No, he's having to earn his money today, isn't he?
Doing a good job on this. I guess the big question has been, what will Freddie Gibson's team do, given that the turbo era ends on the 31st of December of this year?
He's only got 2 ways to jump.
And I believe it will probably be in favour of the General.
You can see the storm moving in, and I would say it's not too many minutes away now. Nissan race cam, Jim Richards, Winfield Nissan number 1, the race leader. By about a minute, they'll be coming in for a stop shortly.
Now, anything that Dick Johnson had going for him, making inroads on Jimmy Richards, has now disappeared. With the arrival of the rain, they're all out there on slicks. There's going to be a mad charge through the pits here. There's no point staying out there. It's going to hang around this bad weather.
There it is.
There's Mark Gibbs going through in the GIO car. The idea now is to just ease it out and bring them on down into the pits. No heroic stuffs on Subaru Straight. You can see the guys have backed them all off, and here comes the charge into the pits. 55, Andrew Madecki is in. He's ready for a full set of wets.
Car 28, Kevin Waldock in the pits, same thing. Here comes Dick Johnson. It's a procession. There'll be nobody left on the racetrack.
You won't be able to hear for whistle blowing.
I know the roughest ride up there must be our helicopter cameraman and our pilots tracking race cam and bringing the pictures. It is filthy outside. Here's Johnson in. Keep in mind, Dick said he's got the headlights covered up with shell decals. Looks like a regulation stop down here, just a set of wets coming on.
Andy Raymond is there.
Yes, a full set of wets going on. John Bow is actually going to jump into the car. He's not doing that. The team very concerned about time. Team manager Ross Stone is really giving the boys a lot of hurry up here. As I said, the full wets are on as the Perth Gricey car goes out, and Johnson is just about ready. Now he's going down from the hoist, and Dickie Johnson's back in action.
The Gibbs Onslow car goes as well. There's going to be a man charge out of pit lane. Pace car, I think, is going to come out as well. Make sure that cars don't stay out there, because you can see what's happened up there. The
76 it is. One of the Corolla, the 1600cc cars, Calvin Gardner, Jeff Forshaw, Mike Conway. I couldn't quite see which of them was in the car, but he's out, he's okay. We can see that much.
Well, he's just okay. Oh, no, Jimmy Richards has hit the wall.
Well, Richo, of course, stuck on slicks and no traction at all, even for a four-wheel drive Nissan.
Well, here's Crompton's chance to be the ultimate hero.
That car is not going anywhere else but the pits this afternoon. The rain is now hitting the commentary booth so hard, you can hear it.
I would expect we might see a red flag. I can see them stopping this race.
Yeah. They must stop the race.
This is it. This will be the end. The red flag will be out before we finish our next sentence, I would say.
Well, now, if that happens, what they usually do is backdate the race by a lap or so, which could well see Jimmy Richards and Mark Scaife still taking victory.
Listen to the crowd. The top of the hill. This is the kind of send-off, and I don't want to...
Oh, no. Oh, no.
I don't want to be unkind to Winfield and the Nissan team, but the punters at the top of the hill, this is the kind of send-off they wanted to see for the Nissans. Dick Johnson, relatively unscathed. Arm raised. Now, I don't know whether his arm is raised in what he thinks might be victory, but the indications that we've been given is that the #1 Nissan will still be declared the race winner.
There's the carnage coming out of Forest Elbow. John Brady with Ivan Stibbart hopefully will clear the air.
Yes, thank you very much, Mike. Ivan, red flag, it is all over, Red Rover?
All over, yes, unfortunately, but as you can see now, the weather's clearing up, but it's too late, it's all over, so we've declared it, and the timekeepers are now working out the final result.
Not afraid that you may have jumped a little early?
No, not if you saw what was happening there with some of those cars. It was a bit dangerous, and unfortunately, some of them don't heed the caution flags, and you only need one or two to do that, and that's what caused that problem.
OK, the $64 question, who is the winner?
I would say car one. The race has got to be declared at the last full lap before the red flag went out, and he was still leading at that stage.
How close was he to the next full lap at the time?
Not sure until we get to the timekeepers on that, but he had a full lap up on him on the other cars, so that should be okay.
The arrival of that storm produced quite a number of incidents. We'll have a look at some of them for you, just recap what happened, just in case you've arrived home. Jimmy Richards and Mark Scaife were leading this race. This is what happened on the exit to Forest Elbow. Brian Callahan, Barry Graham, the 39 car, spinning. Then triggered off is the Toyota Corolla.
That's Bates and Bates, I think, in the Daily Planet car.
And that, of course, Andrew Harris with the brakes on. Driver very quickly out of that. That was young Brian Callahan. Here's the 76 car that hit the wall, got into with a wash. Now, he was quite okay. That is quite a connection with the concrete wall.
It is. It's a testimony to the way the car is built, actually, that you see the driver get out of it without a problem.
And as you can see, climbing out.
Oh, yeah. Hit his leg against the roll bar.
Very, very lucky boy indeed. And, of course, heading up to the top of the mountain, the flagship, I believe this was Neil Crompton, as the Johnson car came across the front of it.
No, that's the Jim Richards car.
It was the Jim Richards car.
So it was between there and here that the damage was done. He's actually done it over the top at Skyline somewhere.
So here he comes down through the dipper, riding it all the way down through here, just limping back to the pits, wondering what on earth Fred Gibson would be thinking about all that. Marshall's probably just couldn't believe it as he aquaplanes down through here on the way to Forest Elbow.
Not realising, of course, that the red flag had been displayed earlier and that his first position was assured.
Now he comes out of the corner. As I pointed out earlier, there's a kink to the left here, so Jim probably just goes to guide the car just a little to the left there. The back of the car now breaks away.
And Jim is chasing it. There's not a thing he can do. He's full on the brakes, tail into the wall, brings the front around, and he's on his way into the back of Andrew Harris's car. So exit Jimmy Richards. And now the class leader. The Toyota Corolla goes in there, and the rest of the field able to get by there on the inside. Here's another angle of the Toyota. Look at the marshals jumping back over the fence here. And he joins the party down there as well.
The winners of the great race for the second year running, Mark Scaife and Jim Richards. Well, it's a slightly hostile reception. A slightly hostile reception, Mark, but you always knew that you were going to get that to some degree. But regardless, forgetting all of that, it was a triumph out there today because they were the most adverse conditions that you could possibly have experienced.
Well, it was, but like we led the race all day. I can't believe this, you know, like the Nissan Winfield, we won the race. That's how it is.
Jim?
I'm just really stunned for words. I can't believe the reception. I thought Australian race fans had a lot more to go than this. This is bloody disgraceful. I'll keep racing, but I tell you what, this is going to remain with me for a long time. You're a pack of arseholes.